G'day, beer lovers. Yeah, Jeroen, mate, again here. VBN. G'day, beer lovers. Today I've taken Steve's kitchen on an outing. I've taken him to the historic port of Fremantle. Say hello to everyone, Steve.
G'day guys, how are you?
What do you think of Fremantle?
It's beautiful, mate, and the weather's gorgeous.
It is.
The sky up here.
It's a winter's day, blue skies, it's about 20, 21 degrees. It's a beautiful day. I love sunny winter days in Perth. Beautiful. Behind me you see Fremantle's fishing boat harbour. We're going to have lunch here. We're going to have fish and chips. Now if you're going to come to Fremantle, you got to have fish and chips because it's by the ocean, and if you go near the ocean, well, it's just standard. You just got to have fish and chips. That's just the way it is.
My face above the water, my feet can't touch the ground, and it feels like I can see the sands on the horizon every time.
Hey Steve, you ever thought about having a boat?
Yes mate, I love boats. I'm not big into sailing boats, but I wouldn't mind a gin palace.
What about that little baby over there? Could you see yourself owning something like that?
Well, it is for sale, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, on the front there. That'd be nice, Ed, wouldn't it? Out on the sun.
I'll tell you
Sun
what,
deck at the back, a couple of VBs.
you wouldn't have any problem getting mates, would you?
You wouldn't, mate. We know mates.
You are not around, slowly drifting away, wave after wave, wave after wave, slowly drifting, and it feels like I'm drowning, pulling against the stream, pulling against the wave, wave after wave, wave after wave, slowly drifting.
So we got an amber ale, it's Little Creatures. It's a mid-strength ale, 3.8% the guy's saying, so it's a lighter beer. I love these darker amber beers. Yeah, it's nice, very malty, sort of dark.
Would you
sort of
normally drink, what's it, 3.7%? Would you normally drink 3.7%?
Oh, it's not about the percentage for me, it's about the flavour.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll be right.
Yeah, we're not there.
G'day beer lovers. Behind me is the West Australian Museum of Shipwrecks. This museum behind me houses the relics from a ship called the Batavia. Now, the Batavia got shipwrecked on the West Australian coast in 1628. There was a mutiny on board, and the mutineers were taking over the ship, but then the captain ordered the ship to keep going west, and unfortunately it crashed into the Oppers Islands, which is north of Perth. There were 341 people on board the ship. Now, the captain, his name was Captain Charles. He then got in a longboat and he rowed all the way to Indonesia to get help. It took him about a year to come back. Now, one of the mutineers, his name was Cornelius. Okay, him and his cohorts started killing the other survivors. They started cannibalizing each other. They were desperate. They needed to survive. What happened next was that Pelsart came back, rounded up the mutineers and executed them, hung them all. But that was after he chopped off their arms and legs. Yeah, it was pretty bloody brutal. Okay, now behind me is 1/8 of the hull of the Batavia. Now, the timbers of the Batavia were found in the 1960s. Okay, and then the timbers were put into this solution to preserve them, and they've been able to rebuild from the original timbers 1/8 of the hull of the Batavia, and it's in this museum behind me, and together with 24 cannons. Yeah, this bloody boat, Batavia, it had 24 cannons, 341 people on board. Yeah, so that was in 1628. That was 200 years before the establishment of the Swan River colony. Okay, follow me. Let's go into this museum and look at the ship called the Batavia. This is the skeleton of one of the murdered shipwreck survivors. Behind me is a statue of one of the greatest West Australians that ever lived. His name was C.Y. O'Connor. He's an Irish engineer that came out to West Australia in the 1800s. This guy was a genius. He designed the Fremantle port, which we're at now. He also engineered and designed the water pipeline, which took water from the Perth Hills and pumped it to the goldfields, because the goldfields, that's where all the wealth was coming out of West Australia, but there was no water up there. He built the pipeline. But it cost a lot of money, this pipeline, and the press absolutely murdered him. They said it was a complete and utter waste of money. Now, when they finished the pipeline and turned the pumps on, after a couple of weeks, the water wasn't flowing in Kalgoorlie, and the media went berserk. They said it was a white elephant, did not work. And this bloke behind me, C.Y. O'Connor, what he did was, through public shame, he hopped on a horse, went to the beach nearby here, got into about 1 metre of water, and then took a pistol to his head and shot his brains out. But the funny thing is, the water eventually came through at the other end. So yeah, he committed suicide for nothing. So there's a lot of things in Perth and West Australia named after this bloke, C.Y. O'Connor, one of the greatest West Australians who ever lived.
My face above the water, my feet can't touch the ground, and it feels like I can see the sands on the horizon every time you are not around. I'm slowly drifting away, wave after wave, wave after wave.
This is the last resting place of the HMAS Oxley. It was a diesel-powered submarine in the Australian Navy, and when it was decommissioned, it was brought here. And you can actually go on tours and go into the Oxley, but it does cost money.
Like me, I am a professional idiot. I've been an idiot all my life. I've been professional for 26 years. There we go, 1, 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am just about to start. This is just the last little bit of preparation Let me introduce myself. My name is Scott Chocolate. Thanks very much. Okay, we'll try that again. First up, pour the kerosene back into the container. This is for safety reasons. Just don't want to spill any fuel today. All right, begin then.
Slowly drifting away, and it feels like I'm drowning, pulling against the stream, pulling against the.
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but we're right in the middle of winter. And you wouldn't guess it looking at all these people just soaking up with the rays here on the beach.
Middle of winter, Ed.
Do you feel like a swim with me?
I'm not sure where you're going with that.
Yeah, come on, let's take off our clothes. Yeah, we're men, we've got jocks, haven't we?
Yeah.
Come on, let's do it.
Go on, man.
Let's do it.
I'm right behind you.
All right, let's go and change.
Camera.
He rounded up the... Oh, I'm going to start all this again because I missed the fact that there was a mutiny on board.
Oh, you bugger.
I fucked it all. I haven't told the story properly. All right, yeah.
I'm running out of battery.